from her bedroom in the middle of the night. Her father says he discovered her missing on Saturday morning. Now, search dogs may have found a clue inside Isabel's home. Investigators have interviewed her parents at length and say they're fully cooperating.
That's just not a possibility if you knew this family. These two have, they've been married. They've been together since they were teenagers. There's no separation going on. There's just no possible way that the family would have anything to do with this.
Straight out to KTVK reporter Crystal Cruz. You are at the police command post right now in Isabel's neighborhood. What is the very latest?
Well, Jane, we are waiting for the very latest right now. The chief of police is set to take the podium behind me and give us an update. But what I can tell you, we've been at the command center all day. We've seen Border Patrol, we've seen U.S. Marshals, even the FBI out here searching for this 6-year-old girl. Behind me is Isabel's home. It is blocked off. So is the neighborhood. Her parents aren't even allowed in the house at this point. Now, we have learned the FBI sent out 2 cadaver dogs from the East Coast. One is a cadaver dog, and one is a search dog. Now, the chief of police told us 2 hours ago that the cadaver dog did hit on something inside the home, but the chief of police is being very secretive, giving out little information because they don't want to compromise this case right now. But like I said, there is some information between what the cadaver dog found and what the police department has, and they are keeping very tight-lipped. But like you said, the window was open in the little girl's house and a screen was off. We are not sure if this was the little girl's window or if this was a kitchen window. That is something we are waiting to hear right now. But Jane, still, this little missing 6-year-old girl missing. The volunteers are out here. There is a volunteer camp about 10 feet away from me. And of course, people are coming out, handing out thousands of flyers. Everyone wants this little girl home safely tonight. Jane?
Precious child, thank you. And Crystal, we're going to have much more on the search later in our show. But first, this.
We have very little information to go on here.
Missing
6-year-old Isabell Celis.
Now on the hunt for missing 6-year-old Isabel Mercedes Celis.
Searching the home where a 6-year-old girl vanished over the weekend.
We're labeling it as suspicious circumstances and a possible abduction.
Checking each and every car that went in and out of this East Side neighborhood.
She was checked on this morning at about 8 o'clock.
They woke up Saturday and she was gone.
Found that she was not in her room at that point.
6-year-old Isabel Mercedes Celis was gone.
Investigators found, quote, suspicious circumstances in Isabel's bedroom.
We have a window that was open and a screen removed.
The investigation has hit a roadblock.
Contact each and every one of the identified sex offenders that live within a 3-mile radius.
We have bloodhounds that are checking the area as well, pick up any scent of the little girl.
Isabel's parents were questioned all night long.
The family has been cooperating with us.
That's just not a possibility if you knew this family.
We're not ruling out anything in this investigation.
There's just no possible way that the family would have anything to do with this.
We place everything in the hands of God.
Her mother is beside herself.
Still no sign of Isabel, and the clock continues to tick.
You don't think anything like that would actually really happen to you.
Tonight, a race against the clock to find a precious little girl who apparently vanished from her Tucson home in the dead of night. Could a kidnapper have climbed right through a window in Isabel Celis's home?
We have a window that was open and a screen removed. We're labeling it as suspicious circumstances and a possible abduction, mainly so that we keep all possibilities open. We don't want to focus just down one path. We want to be open to all leads that may come in.
More than 100 leads have poured in so far, possibly none more solid than what search dogs may have found inside Isabel's home. Police say the bloodhounds may have tracked down a clue, and they're keeping her family away from that home while they investigate. Isabel's parents say they put her to bed Friday at about 11 p.m. When they went to get her Saturday morning at 8 a.m., she was gone. Investigators have questioned dozens of sex offenders in the area. They've canvassed 2.5 miles around the home, a radius, and still no sign of Isabel. And we're delighted to have with us tonight Tucson Police Chief Roberto Villasenor. Chief, have you gotten... Well, first of all, tell us about this hit. The dogs hit near the home or in the home?
I'm sorry. We seem to be having some difficulty with the reception.
Dogs
couldn't quite hear the question.
did the dogs hit near the home or inside the home, Chief?
Actually, we had the dogs searching in both areas, around the home, approaching the home, and then inside the home as well. We don't want to talk too much because of investigative purposes as to what the dog hit on or where, but they did alert on items which caused us to have some need to resecure the house and take our investigators back into the residence once we obtain the warrant so they can do further investigation.
Now, did you get a warrant for that house because the family didn't voluntarily allow you inside, or did they say, oh, you could go in and check whatever you want in the home?
No, the family has been cooperating with us, and they understand, but really for these type of cases and the complexity, it's always safer to err on the side of caution. There was no greater need for exigency. When we first arrived at the scene, we did a very thorough processing of the house. However, we didn't have the availability of these specialized canines from the FBI. When they were flown in and they did alert on some things, then that caused us to want to go back in and just to make sure in case we do find anything of evidentiary value there is protected, we obtain the warrant just to make sure everything is done correctly.
Yeah, now, you've said that you've done a door-to-door search within a 2.5 or 3 mile radius of Isabel's home. This reminds me of the Jessica Lunsford tragedy. 2005, registered sex offender John Cooey went into Jessica's home through an unlocked door, kidnapped her, and held her captive for 2 days in a trailer about 100 yards away from that home before murdering her tragically after sexually assaulting her. Sir, Chief, when you go and canvass these homes, do you go inside and look in the closets? Because one of the controversies in the Cooey case, this is the guy who kidnapped and killed Jessica Lunsford, they never went into that closet. They knocked on the door, and the child was believed to be inside there when police visited that trailer.
Correct, and it's stories like that that we keep in mind when we conduct our search. For that reason, what we've instructed our officers to do to explain to people when they contact them at the residence what they're there for, the tragedy that we're investigating, and the request for cooperation from the residents. We've received
But do you go in and open the closet's door?
The residents to look around.
Oh, so they do let you in to look around, and you've looked around in closets. You've opened closets.
Yes, our officers go in there and they look in the rooms and they look in the house to make sure there's nothing there we need to be concerned of.
All right, and if I could ask you, Chief, you're very kind, to stand by. Try not to hang up. I want to bring in a very special guest, Aaron Runyon, founder of the Joyful Child Foundation. Go to joyfulchild.org and get involved. This is so important. This case has to feel painfully familiar to you. Your beautiful daughter, Samantha, right around Isabel's age, 2002, was kidnapped and murdered, and her killer is now on death row. What would you say, how would you describe what Isabel's family is going through right now, 2.5 days into this nightmare? They're not being allowed home as this investigation continues.
Oh, it's just the worst not knowing if she's in pain, knowing that she would be afraid. There's just no words to describe it. It is the absolute worst nightmare possible for any parent. And my heart just bleeds for this family. The investigation, I would think, would be it's probably making them feel good that they found some leads, that they have something to go on. Those specialized dogs are trained in all different kinds of special scents and things for them to pick up on, so that's a good sign. So I'm sure that they're just doing everything they can to keep the hope alive that she's going to be recovered alive.
Now, let's talk a little bit about her family. Isabel's mom is a nurse at a hospital. Her father is a dental hygienist. Friends say there is no chance they could have hurt their precious daughter intentionally in any way. Listen to this.
That's just not a possibility if you knew this family. These two have, they've been married. They've been together since they were teenagers. There's no separation going on. There's just no possible way that the family would have anything to do with this.
Pat Brown, criminal profiler. They're regular churchgoers. Not that that means anything one way or the other in the sense that there have been people who committed crimes who were regular churchgoers, but they have no criminal record. There's no history of marital problems. What do you make of the fact that they're not being allowed in the home?
Well, I think the police are doing a fabulous job. I'm so impressed by what they're doing. In other words, they're taking care of all possibilities, that it could be an abduction or that it might not be an abduction. And let's say it isn't an abduction. Then they've taken care of that by separating the parents, hearing what their stories are, getting them out of the home, doing all the proper things in the home, bring the dogs in. And if it is an abduction, they're following the possibilities there as well, looking at all the situations in the room and what happened with the window, and looking at the sex offenders and who else came and went. They're doing the right thing, both of these. And for the parents, if they're innocent of anything, they should be thankful it's being done, because at least nobody later can go back and say, oh, well, now you're accusing us and you didn't do your job.
Yeah, and parents in this area are terrified. They're putting 2x4s, Joe Gomez, senior investigative reporter, KTRH, over their children's windows because in their mind there could be some kind of child snatcher loose in the neighborhood.
Oh, that's right, Jane. I mean, you and I both have covered enough of these cases to know that, if this is some random act, some guy came in through the window and snatched this girl in the dead of night, I mean, the whole neighborhood should be put on alert. But we have to find little Isabel every hour that she's out there, Jane. The danger level increases for this little girl.
We got the chief back with us, Chief Roberto Villasenor. The usual list, you start with the closest, the family itself. Then friends of the family, neighbors, sex offenders, family acquaintances, local handymen. Have you been able to essentially cover all of that?
Yes, we have, and that's exactly right. You do start from an inner circle and work your way out. You try and look at the most obvious people that you want to talk to and get their information on what they know. And we've been doing that, but then expanding the search, particularly with sex offenders, though we started with a 3-mile radius, and we went to that right away first and used detectives from throughout our divisions to help do that.
Chief, quickly, did neighbors hear anything in the middle of the night?
I don't want to comment on that. We do have some information, but that's something I don't want to put forward yet.
So that wouldn't be a no, neighbors didn't hear anything. Because remember the baby Lisa case, neighbors heard a commotion that woke up a dog in the middle of the night. And psychologist Jeff Gardier, just weigh in quickly on, should these parents take a polygraph just to eliminate them?
Absolutely. Look, we don't want to think that had anything to do with this, such a heinous act and against their own child. But we've learned from a lot of these cases, you have to go within the inner circle. Sometimes even so-called perfect parents, especially the perfect parents, have some issues that we don't know about. Accidents happen. Corporal punishment happens, but you have to look not just at the parents, but all of the friends and investigate who knew where this girl was sleeping and why they went right to that window to find that girl. Someone was casing it. It could be someone that they knew.
Exactly. A stranger wouldn't know that a child was inside that room and know to open that particular screen. Have to